Okay, super. So we're live, and I'm so sorry first of all for this delay. Well, I would have loved to call it technical issue, but uh, we've overshot our margin. I'm really sorry about this. But by the way, welcome to JEE Talks at Aakash Byju's, and I know some of you are heading into exams. Perhaps you're talking about the JEE mains in a few months from now. Perhaps some of you are sitting for the JEE advanced in a few days from now. And if you're in school, you're also perhaps preparing for the part one of your board exams which are coming up. But whatever you're preparing for, it's a Saturday and it's time for some motivation. So we have with us a star guest. Some of you already know him, but I'm going to introduce to you Chirag Falor, who's tuning in to us from Massachusetts, Cambridge in Boston. And he's at MIT. I think some of you already know him, but I'm going to give you a formal introduction. Chirag was All India rank 1 at the IIT JEE Advanced in 2020. He was also All India rank 12 at the mains with 100 percentile. And by the way, in the middle of all that, he also got a 98% plus 98.4% in his school board exams. He's also one of the 5 Indians to have got chosen into MIT, which is a hugely prestigious institution. He also won 2 gold medals at the International Olympiad for Astronomy and Astrophysics. And he is the recipient of the Bal Puraskar, the National Bal Puraskar Award from the Prime Minister of India. You know, he has a ton of other achievements, including scholarships and ranks, and I could go on for the next half an hour talking about Chirag Falor's achievements, but I think it's time for us to get started and talking to him. Hey Chirag, thank you so much for being with us and welcome to JEE Talks.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm really so excited to talk to you right now. And I know in the middle of your classes and your research assignments, you've taken out precious time to be with us. And I truly appreciate that. So I'm going to get going straight away. You know, when we put this video up, we asked the audience to share some of their questions with us and said, hey, what do you want to ask Chirag? So I'm going to throw some questions at you which have come from the audience. And the first one is, how do you balance your time? Because we know that at a point of time, you were writing your mains, you were already in MIT when you were writing your mains, you were writing your advanced, you were going through the classes at MIT, and you also prepared for your school exams and all the other exciting stuff that you did together. How did you balance your time between these different priorities?
So usually whenever I used to prioritize things which are coming near. So if I have an exam which is right next week, I would not work on other things and just with full focus work on the specific exam which is coming ahead. And that helped me a lot as focusing on one thing improves that thing by a lot than compared to if you distribute it across time before that. So one of the main things I had was whenever any exam came up, I just used to focus on it. So when I had my Olympiad, I used to focus on the Olympiad 1 month before that and not focus on JEE at that time. And then when JEE came up, I took away time from MIT assignments and focused specifically just on JEE and revising all the things I've done in the past years. So yeah, just specifically focusing on a single thing just before that exam or whatever event happens helped me a lot in improving my performance significantly in that period of time.
You know, this is such a small thing, but it's so big because just focusing on one thing. Some of us just tend to go all over the place because we panic and we're like, I want to do this and that. Multitasking is the biggest obstacle to success. So Chirag is a case in point where he says, if I had an exam a month before or a couple of days before, 10 days before, depending on the exam, I would just put all my energies into one thing. Now, talking about that particular exam, that had 3 subjects. So talk about how you balance your time between the 3 subjects. I do know that physics is your favorite and you're majoring at MIT in physics. But how did you balance your time between math, chemistry, and physics?
So basically, yeah, all the 3 different subjects require very different strategies. So I used to spend a lot of time on maths, like maybe 40% on maths, 30% on physics, and 30% on chemistry, or more like 40, 35, and 25. Because so I thought that solving more maths question gave me an improvement in my problem solving skills. Even though I didn't like math, I used to solve problems to gain speed, and even the problem solving skills were helpful in physics as well. So I used to devote slightly more time to math, and it was also a difficult subject for me compared to like others. And then chemistry was the physical chemistry part was easy to do with, and then inorganic and organic had to be revised multiple times, which I was able to do by repetition of each question which comes up. So I used to remember things, and chemistry was mostly that part. And physics, for that, I tried to solve different questions from different places, and uh, I I gave it a bit less time than maths because the skills acquired in maths were useful in physics. So that was the ratio in which I distributed. But it also depends on an individual that like if one of their subject is weak and they have time, they should probably focus more on that and improve that because all subjects have equal weightage in the main exam.
Right, right. I think that's amazing. The idea that you talk about repetition. Was this like spaced repetition, like every few days you would revise something that needed memorization and sort of keep doing it every few days? Was that something you did?
Yeah, so like in just before the like few months before the exam, I got across Anki, which is like a space repetition software, which like it just shows up cards after a day, after 3 days, and increases the time interval. So if our brain sees the information again and again after repeated time, it remembers for a longer period of time, which was helpful in like memorizing formulas and uh, organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry a lot.
Brilliant. I think that's a tip you all should take back. If you take one thing back from Chirag today, take this back, that do spaced repetition. And slowly, did you find that you needed to do the repetition over a slightly more stretched period of time? Initially over quick periods of time and then later on over slightly longer periods of time. Did you feel that was happening?
Yeah, so space repetition is basically that the period increases gradually. So yeah, 1, 1, 3, 5, 7, and it increases exponentially. So if you have remembered for 5 days, next time it will be 10 days and 20 days and so on. So like not much time is required once you have got in the long time periods because the gap between two repetitions is far enough, and but you remember a lot of stuff due to this. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So tell me, sum total of all this, how many hours in a day were you studying?
How many hours in a day I was studying? It's like yes. I used to spend most of my time studying, but it was not exactly like course material. So even though I might say that I spend like maybe 12 hours studying, but it's not like I focus the 12 hours basically on the syllabus. I used to study out of syllabus stuff for fun, and it's a nice time pass because you go away from the material, but you learn something which might be helpful later on. And yeah, this was a fun activity for me. It might not be for others, but basically, if I consider only the course material and purely in syllabus stuff, it might be about 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours a day. But I spent my other free time in other like searching for the out of topic material. So yeah.
Amazing. So you kept yourself, I'm saying you did out of syllabus stuff for fun. I'm listening to that and trying to absorb it. But you're saying basically you went beyond the curriculum because the moment you did that, you had a better understanding of what was within the curriculum. Did you find that coming back and helping you in getting a sort of a more helicopter view of what you were trying to learn for that exam?
Yeah, so I mean, I had more time. Like our exam was delayed a lot, so I got enough time to go beyond curriculum. And yes, like after going beyond, some relevant skills from there are very helpful in the exam. Like I got speed ups in many questions in the actual exam just because I knew stuff which wasn't even closely related to syllabus. But like this, like if someone has less time, they should probably focus inside the material right now. But if like you have free time and you don't want to spend that on just scrolling through social media or something, but you can just scroll through Wikipedia and search for new stuff, which is also exciting. Like breaking out the bounds of syllabus is somewhat relieving in one sense.
Wow. There's one word that's popping up on all the chats as I'm watching. It's timetable. I think they want to know, they're not happy when you're saying 12 hours and 6 hours. They kind of want to know a little bit more. So I'll ask you a question. Every time you sat down to study, typically how long was each session?
I see. That depended. If I have a lot of stuff I can't get up, then it it's okay. It's not as large, but it might be 1 hour and then take a 5 to 10 minute break, drink water, like go for a walk to water cooler and drink water, and then yeah, just come back. But mostly it was like 20 to 30 minutes and then 5 minutes break or sort of thing, and then or and I change syllabus every 1.5 hours so that I don't get bored by the same topic again and again.
Okay.
It
Okay.
just depended on what I I felt like. Whenever I got bored, I changed, and whenever I felt tired, I just went for a walk.
Went for a walk or a different subject. Let's talk about stress. Did you, so from what I can hear, you sound like you were so meticulously planned that I'm not sure whether you did face stress, but did you? Did you have stress?
Sort of. I mean, whenever an exam is near, there is always a bit of tension and like how will the performance be? But I usually try to ignore my performance, like it does not matter. Like at that point I thought it will not matter a lot, but so that I can remove the extra stress and pressure part and like perform my best. But like I knew it would matter, so there comes a superposition. But yes, I tried to just ignore the consequences and focus on how I could improve myself initially.
Yeah. There's a Hungarian writer called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi who's spoken about flow focus, and he says that to be in the flow, you need to stop worrying about am I going to come first and am I going to, just worry about that topic in front of you and go deeper into it. So you're actually a living example of how you went into the flow of that topic. But tell me, like you're saying, there were times when there was this voice at the back of your head saying, hey, are you going to get that rank? Are you going to do well? At that point, what was your self-talk? How did you manage your motivation levels and your focus at that time?
Um, I like, yeah, basically I tried to ignore the results or like what might happen, but rather focus on the current thing. And like, because I mean, we can worry about this after the exam. We have a lot of time after the exam. So why worry about it during the preparation when you could focus on something which would improve your performance in exam rather than predicting what would happen. So
Yeah, yeah. And now a lot of them seem to ask me about focus as I'm reading the words. This chat is scrolling so fast. But people are talking about focus, they're talking about social media, they're talking about distraction. There's a student that says, I don't even study for 12 minutes in a day. But anyway, coming back to how can somebody remain focused in this age of distraction? And what did you do with social media perhaps?
okay. So in my case, it was pretty simple. I just shut down all the social media and did not have a smartphone. So it was very easy for me to stay away from distraction because I didn't have the possibility to like go to a social media or go to YouTube and just scroll through videos or fall down the Reddit rabbit hole or anything. But like even right now at MIT, I usually get distracted by different things. And what I basically do is to increase my activation energy to like log in into those things. So I'm always logged out of social media and then I have to log in and type. So when I'm typing, I can reevaluate and not log in. And I also shut down my phone because that also increases another level of it puts a wall that I have to start it up. And like the more the work is required to get distracted, you will be less likely to get distracted. So that has been working for me right now. And I would probably suggest
I mean, honestly, you're practicing every single trick in the book. There isn't anything more. Create that hurdle, increase the hurdle rate basically to get to something. And you may not ever get to it because we are so lazy, human beings. So he's saying, I keep my phone switched off. I don't have social media. I don't buy a smartphone. I mean, all of us sitting out here can take a tip. But I'm constantly getting this daily routine question in the chat box. So I'm going to ask you, are you a morning person or are you a late night person? Or so what is your best peak hour to perform?
So I am a astro person. Astro person usually stays up the whole night. So like my schedule is very flexible. Sometimes I stay up till 3, sometimes I wake up at 6. I always get an 8 hour of sleep, but like I don't think I'm specifically one kind of person, morning or late night, but like yes, I have a flexible sleep schedule which I can modify very rapidly because I like sometimes I used to go for stargazing, which just flips my schedule. So I have to be flexible enough on both times.
Oh boy. So you did manage to get your 8 hours of sleep every day, and did you sort of compromise on that during the crunch phase?
I did not. I forcefully slept 8 hours, irrespective of however busy I am, because I think sleep is very important and it affects the day beyond, and it affects throughout the 16 hours left of the day. So if you cut up on sleep, it would probably not like the next day won't be as
Yeah.
good as some. You should just equilibrate to the sleeping schedule you usually have, which is probably 7 hours for most people, but I sleep
Yeah.
slightly more.
Slightly more awesome because your brain is working hard, and when your brain is working hard, you need to give it a good rest. You spoke about stargazing. Are there any other hobbies that you've been able to pursue?
Yes, I also played chess a lot during my preparation, and chess like it was a fun game, and it was actually it puts a pressure on mind, so it's not as recommended when you are just out of completely studying for some hours. But like if I was free and like I didn't have much to do, I would play chess. Maybe I would play table tennis because yeah, that's just it relieves a bit. Maybe carom, but yeah, those mostly indoor games. I didn't used to walk out a lot.
Okay, awesome. They want to know your favorite books and resources that you used over this period to prepare for the JEE and the advance. So, is there something you could share with them?
For books, like for physics specifically, I would recommend Erodo. It's super. For me, it was a very nice book and gave me experience to a lot of things. And I mean, I mostly did Akash modules. I didn't have time to do different books, but like I opened some books, solved some questions for various books. I also have a website, chiragfalor.in, and like I have listed all the books I have, but I haven't done most of them. Like the modules and targets had sort of the compilation of questions which were enough to keep me busy. But like for physics specifically, Irodo was very nice.
Okay, awesome. So we have a link to that website that you just spoke about, which has your exhaustive list of resources. And for all of you, we're going to put that link down under this video. So you can go take a look at Chirag's favorite resources and the books that he's mentioning, and that's going to take you to success. I can see two words hovering on the chat box. One is math, and one is inorganic chemistry. So, any tips on these two?
For math was hard for me. I mean, even in the main exam, it took more than 1 hour and like maybe 1 hour 20 minutes or 1 hour 30 minutes. So Uh, Basically, like with math, I used to just practice a lot, and I used to uh focus more on how, or even, okay, for math, I also did many Olympiad problems like pre-RMO, RMO, INMO. That helped me improve my problem solving skill, and it helped me in JEE math as well. Uh, it would be beneficial if you do that much before JEE, because like the problem solving skill will help you do JEE question, which will help the improve the problem solving skills related to JEE. Uh, but like Olympiads are very helpful in sharpening one's mind, and other countries also do a lot of Olympiads compared to India. So that would be beneficial if you're in the starting period of preparation. And for inorganic chemistry, well, as I mentioned, I used spaced repetition in the ending ones, which was very helpful in remembering the formulas and remembering all the inorganic chemistry is remembering and reciting to some extent. So yeah, spaced repetition helped me just keep all the formulas on the tip uh, till the exam.
Yeah, yeah. Another question that's coming up is on notes. They're asking, how do you make notes? Do you have, I see when I talk to you that you have all the strategies in place to be that perfect student. So we're going to ask you for all your strategies today to leak them out. But let's talk about notes. Did you make notes? And did you make them on a laptop? Did you make them on a notebook? And what were your considerations when you did that?
Yes, I made notes in our time, which is just 1 year before. I used to make notes on notebook, not laptop. I didn't have a laptop for making notes. But yes, mostly I used to make notes just to focus in class, because if I don't make notes, I would be more likely to sleep rather than when I'm writing and yeah, noting things down. So I mostly use notes as a method to pay attention. Circling important things makes things important in the class, also like remembering them during the class. And uh but the fact was, I like once I wrote the note, I never opened my notebooks. I usually revise by solving questions rather than revising the topics, because like my notes weren't the best. I had better ways to revise the same material, which might be from a textbook or internet or somewhere. But like note taking was a method of resolve of paying attention in the class and focusing on important things, because if you highlight something is
Yeah,
important, like
yeah.
your brain makes it more important during like when you're listening to it. So
Yeah, and you start critically thinking at what the person is saying because you need to summarize it in one line, so you need to pay attention to what they're
yeah.
saying. So it works, I guess, to just channelize your brain in that way. Oh my God, I'm learning so much from you. Talking about study, you know, I'm listening to you saying that you studied for 20, 25 minutes and took a break and practically studied almost 12 hours, which is most of the day. Now, a lot of students just don't feel motivated to do it. They procrastinate. They have the timetable in front of them. They know today, after listening to you, they know this is what they need to do. But somehow when they go back, they just can't get themselves up to saying that I need to do this. So what is it that you can tell them to make it happen for them? How to make study a habit? How to get motivated to pushing yourself to actually putting those number of hours in?
There are actually many many things which could be improved to not procrastinate. So firstly, I mean, if you don't have distraction, the only way to procrastinate is lying on bed, which is very boring. So I mean, like, yes, because I used to get bored by, I can't just lie in bed. I would probably study and do something interesting. Maybe not a subject I like in syllabus, but something out of topic, which was very fun, more fun than lying on bed. So basically, removing distraction helps a lot, because you can only procrastinate by doing something more fun, and more fun are distractions. But if they're not there, like you'd resort to something more academic, which is which was pretty helpful for me. And then like there could be other things like motivation factor might be peer groups. If you have a good peer group, you have to stay on pace with them. So like you have some sort of deadline set automatically by them because everyone is working hard and you have to work to keep in pace with them. So like a peer groups also helps you motivate, and like maybe even having a sample person, like you can just visualize a person who is also studying in the same year as you, and like how that person is completing stuff, and you should also do that. Maybe makes you more likely to focus on like complete things on time rather than just making timetable and forgetting about the timetable. And obviously timetable helps, but you should have some factor which makes you not break the timetable. Or like when I'm talking about timetable, I'm talking about timetable across months rather than a day's timetable. So I mean, procrastinating can only be done by doing something which is not academic. Like probably it's defined in such manner. So yes, if you don't have distraction, it's very likely that to not procrastinate and focus on stuff which is more closer to what you want to focus on.
Yeah. So, you're hearing him. It's pretty simple actually. It sounds simple, but it's not simple to execute. But you could start with shutting off your phone maybe for a few minutes every day to a few hours every day, and then to eventually to longer periods of time, and then start getting used to being away from the phone and not get withdrawal symptoms about saying somebody is calling me, I need to reach out to my phone. So you know your biggest enemy already. You know where you need to get. Let's talk about your experience at MIT. I'm sure it's this amazing place where you're brushing shoulders with some of the brightest brains in the world, and you're meeting people from different continents and countries across the globe. In this short period of time, how has your experience been at MIT?
Experience at MIT has been very, very great because like the people here are super nice and super intelligent and super cool. Like just having people around and knowing that what they are capable of and what they have already achieved and how focused they are, like is actually a motivating factor in in anything in life. So like, and I have made a lot of friends here, and it's been pretty great. Also, like MIT recently became like we went back to in person, so there's a lot of social interactions and a lot of socialization and many things. We also have preset groups, we set up problem set which are like
Mm.
assignments, and yeah, just solving them with them gives a sense of uh amazement at how they approach things, and like maybe a feeling like yes, we could do much better, which is motivating in one sense. And also the professors are great, like yes, they are approachable and you can just go to them for any doubts, etc. So the experience has been very positive throughout.
So, your own comparison of studying in groups versus studying individually. I know students struggle with the two. Getting the right group, like you're saying, the PSET group that you have in MIT certainly is the right group, but not every student has access to that perfect set of students to study with. So, what's your take on should a student study in a group? Should they study on their own? And how should they balance the two, or pick one?
So I mean, I also didn't have any study, like I didn't have a preset group in my 11th and 12th grade. I used to mostly study on my own, and I think most JEE preparation is done by people on their own. So, uh, but like having the right peer group is, in one sense, just having people of similar level around you, which helps a lot in motivating them and motivating you, and creates a positive cycle. But like, I mean, most people do JEE preparation individually. So, I would still prefer groups, but if the if you don't have, it's not a life-changing factor.
Okay, okay. There's another question that's scrolling up, which is when should they start preparing for the JEE exam? Should they start in ninth? Should they start after that or before that? Or, you know, when did you start preparing for the exam?
Okay, so the question can be rephrased to like, what else, like, what do you want to prefer doing in ninth? Like, what do you mean, like, when should we start rather than how about, like, what should we focus in ninth rather than JEE or like
Instead of
something
JEE,
like,
what else?
because
Okay.
yes, if you're not starting preparing then you're doing something else, which I was basically doing junior science Olympiad in the ninth grade, which was very helpful. It like if you want to say it helped me a lot in JEE, but I wasn't preparing for JEE in ninth and 10th. I was just basically doing Olympiad, and Olympiad helped me improve my general skills and general problem solving skills and etc. And also gave me exposure to different, like to the smart students of India in the Science Olympiad camp in the end. So this was like, it's not like you have to start preparation early for JEE, but you should obviously do something productive. If you're like, don't just don't just waste your time somewhere which is not where it is not useful and say that you'll start JEE preparation later, but utilize your time more efficiently in maybe something which might be more important than JEE, rather than just delaying JEE preparation because we can start later. But if you have nothing, then just possibly start it early.
Yeah, do something that takes you to your goal rather than wait for a fine day when you're going to start. So yeah, keep moving towards your goal. Wherever you are is a good time to start moving towards your goal. You know, one thing they can't believe, and perhaps I can relate to that. They can't believe, they're saying, everyone's lazy. How come you're not lazy? And you know, everyone gets distracted. So what is your distraction? These are the kinds of questions that they're putting out there. They just can't believe that there is someone who can be so focused, who doesn't feel lazy, who doesn't get distracted, who's cut out all distractions. And they're still looking for some secret sauce, perhaps, that you're going to share with them. Is there anything at all that you haven't told us about some
I
secret
mean,
sauce?
it's not that like I'm not lazy. Like I might be the most laziest person in my friend group. I might be the most distracted person, but like I'm just trying to reduce my distraction with various measures. And okay, like lazy means lying in bed, which is boring. So yeah, uh, I get bored easily, which makes me more likely to do something interesting. And if I don't have distraction, it will probably be something academic. But yes, just basically increase your barriers towards anything which is not exactly positive in your life, and it will it will direct you towards things which leave a positive impact.
Yeah, I think that was so amazing, Chirag. I mean, I've so cherished this conversation. I'm sure they've learnt a lot. Truthfully, I've learnt a lot from you, because what I can see is this immense amount of discipline. Discipline tends to be a bad word, but it's just techniques. It's just this monkey mind that we need to train, and there are a few techniques that you need to follow systematically, and you can convert yourself into doing anything that you want to do. You know, sometimes some of us think of freedom, and I'm going to give you this example of a kite, and we're wrapping up the show, so I'm going to give you an example of a kite. And there's a kite which has a string attached to it. And you're thinking, the kite, what if I cut the string? Is that freedom? Is that growth? Is that going where I want to go? What do you think will happen if you cut that string? The kite is going to perhaps crash somewhere in a bush. But in order to really soar, you need to be attached by that string, and that string is nothing but discipline, is nothing but these simple small techniques that you convince yourself that this is what I'm going to keep following, this is my string. I'm going to let the string be with me so that I can finally soar. And I think Chirag is a live example of that. He's absolutely human like all of you, absolutely normal like all of you, but he's just used all the right techniques to train himself, and the kite went flying to the highest levels. And it's very motivating, Chirag, because for each one of you out there, today was filled with lessons. If I were you, I would go back and watch the video again 2 or 3 times and actually listen carefully to what he said. There was a lot of things he said in this interview which were amazingly useful and beautiful. So thank you so much, Chirag, for being with us on this show. I really appreciate the time you've taken out for us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It actually led me to reevaluating like what I'm doing and maybe create a more burden on distraction for me. So this was very helpful in reevaluating my life choices.
I'm so glad you benefited from this too, because we did immensely. And thank you all for being with us, and look out for more JEE Talks on Saturdays at 5 p.m. And once again, I'm sorry about this delay, but I do hope that you benefited from this talk and wish you all the best for your exams coming up and for your life. God bless you and happy learning.